2006, 6:30 p.m. concerning the following petitions. Before we do start our meeting, we need a vote to replace the vice chairman that left about a month or so ago. I need a vote, a motion.
I'd like to nominate Vesna Noon as vice chair.
I'd like to second that motion.
Diane, we call the roll for Vesanoon? No, it won't be Jack. It'll be,
Members only.
yeah, it's just the members only.
Okay.
Okay?
So Ms. McMahon? Approve.
No, Vesna.
Vesna Noon?
Okay.
Jack?
Approve, Vesna Noon.
I'll vote for Vesanoon.
And Mr. Gary?
Approve Vesanoon.
And Mr. Noon?
I vote for myself, of course, and I thank all my fellow board members for nominating me to this position as the vice chair, and I will do my best to be part of the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Noon, and good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, the first one we have is Drake Petroleum, 378 Gorham Street, to raise and reconstruct and reestablish the use of self-service gas station and convenience store, pump islands and canopy to include extended curb and externally illuminated oversized signage. Mr. Fortune. Okay.
Fortune, representing Drake Petroleum. We met at the site on Thursday for a review of your packages that are before you. I believe they were submitted to you by Kim. This package, even though it needed some revisions because of the discussion at the site, that this was to be submitted. I was to check on the fence location as far as the height is concerned, and that 42 inches was the maximum, and so my 36-inch request was fine. I could go lower, but I couldn't go higher than 42. That I would put also, as part of the revision, signs marking direction of the exiting on North Elm to a right turn, with also markings on the pavement within our lot, and to show that. Also, the engineering department wanted me to place a clean out at the bend on the stormwater overflow unit from our stormwater management system. And then in the original comments for a prohibition of 24 hours, that I could have a one-year review depending on the police report and actions within our operation within that year period. That there be no car sales at any time, and then once I have approval here, that I'd be required to go before the city council on relief for the curb cut maximum opening as shown on the plans. I believe that was the wrap-up of our site meeting, and any questions as to the package and its signage, the 3D setup, the stormwater management with the environmental hoods shown in the catch basin. I believe that the cameras are also in your package as to showing the curb cuts as well as the operation at the dispensers, and then the planning reviews, what's been in there and incorporated for our requirements before we get a building permit and before we open. I believe that's a summation of where we stand at this point.
Yeah, I think you pretty much covered everything. Okay, let's see if there's anybody here like to speak on behalf of this. Is there anybody here like to speak in favor for this petition? In favor? Anybody like to speak in opposition? Mr. McDonough, you're all set? Okay. Okay, I did meet with you and the engineer and also people from the planning department. I think we pretty much covered everything that you just talked about, but I'm sure the board members might have a couple of questions they might want to ask. We do have deliveries going to be from like 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. Nothing earlier, nothing later.
As far as the...
For the tanker.
for the tanker.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Let's open up to the board and see what they have to say. Go ahead, Jack.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, that was going to be one of the concerns, was the delivery time. That will be one of the conditions. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, that's going to be correct. That's going to be one of the conditions that we're going to add on
I believe this petitioner, this may be his third appearance before us. If he has met all the conditions as shown here, and the delivery time is 10 p. to 5 a.m., I would support the petition.
Okay, great. Corey, you all set?
Now, through you, Mr. Chairman, I seem to find the revised plan satisfactory as well. Engineer's office and the fire department seems to be at bay, along with the building department. This is a good plan in many ways for eliminating the automobile repair. We're going to have a nice new mini-mart there that will be convenience for the neighborhood. And the surveillance, as Mr. McDonough had a very good concern last meeting about camera surveillance being closer to connector. I mean, you just need it. In the event of a robbery, God forbid, you're right on the connector, and surveillance has to be top-notch there. And under a one-year review, we can see how things go and go from there. But as it stands right now, I'm for the petition. Thank you.
Okay. That's, you all set? Okay. Go, Jack.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, it seems to me that all of the conditions have been met, and I have no problem with this petition.
Okay. Donna, you all set? Okay. Yes, and on the surveillance cameras, make sure that a monitor goes behind the cash register area where the individual, where the tenant's going to be there, so they can, if there is any kids hanging around, they'll be able to see it and call the police or whatnot. Okay, I'm going to need a motion, but on this motion, they're going to have to add a few of these conditions that we have. So. Go ahead,
I make a motion to approve with some of the conditions, and Mr. Chairman and my fellow board member can add to it.
Sure.
That conditions that the petition be reviewed in an hour, in 1 year period, come back here. There's no car sale at the locations, and that the petition have to go before the council for curb cut, and the delivery time will be from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. And my board member can add to it, or Mr. Chairman can add to that, so.
I think we had the surveillance cameras will have to be a condition with the monitor going in the cash register area.
Mr. Chairman, if we can add, as a condition, no automobile repair as well.
A repair, well, it won't be repair, but any used automotive sales there prohibited, so that won't be there. Let's see what else we have. Okay, did you say about the tanker truck delivery from?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you got that. Okay, also that right-hand turn going on to Elm Street. So in other words, right-hand turn only on going on to Elm Street. Okay?
Yes, we said, as I mentioned, the markings on the pavement as well as the sign at the
Sign,
fence.
exactly, okay. All right, that sounds good. I think we pretty much covered everything. Okay. I need somebody to second. Okay, Donna seconds. Call the roll, please.
Approve with all those conditions.
Conditions?
Approve with conditions.
Approve with conditions?
Approve with conditions. Been approved with 5 votes. We need to sign some paperwork. Come on up. All right, next we have Stephen McGuire, 1320 Gorham Street, to allow the construction of a second single-family dwelling on the same lot. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Kenneth Lania, K&M Land Consultants, representing the applicant this evening. As you're aware, we're before you tonight for a continued public hearing to allow the applicant to construct a single-family dwelling in addition to an existing single-family dwelling at 1320 Gorham Street. As per your request at the last hearing, our office did have the opportunity to go out and stake the location of that proposed dwelling on the parcel. And after reviewing the staking of the house with my client, discussing some of the comments that I received from the zoning board at the last meeting, we did go ahead and revised our application for the plan to show a proposed location of the dwelling that was farther away from the corner to see if we could also pick up some additional parking on site. I'd like to approach the board, Mr. Chairman, if that's possible, to hand out those plans.
Yes, please, yep.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, if I could just briefly describe the revisions to the plan. I also have a copy I'll leave up here for any of the neighbors as they come up to speak so they can review the plan. What we've done here is we've actually turned the proposed dwelling to go parallel with Gorham Street. As you can remember on the previous application, it was parallel with Corbett Street. The dwelling size still remains the same at 24 by 36 as a single-family dwelling. What this allowed us to do was connect it to the existing dwelling with a breezeway, and that breezeway measures around 4 feet by 12 feet. This allowed us two things. It allowed us to push the proposed dwelling an additional 5 feet off of the front yard setback, as well as an additional 24 feet from the Corbett Street side setback, allowing for that visual ease coming in and out of Gorham Street onto Corbett Street that was a concern at the last meeting. In addition, by being able to rotate the dwelling, we were able to pick up an additional 2 spaces on the parcel, providing for 2 spaces for the existing unit, 2 spaces for the proposed dwelling, and then 2 visitor spaces on the parcel. Was a concern that there was going to be overflow parking onto the public way on Corbett Street, which I believe we've handled by providing these spaces on the parcel. In addition, the addition of these spaces did not take away from any of the open space which is required. We do still meet all the zoning requirements for the lot. We feel as though that this will not increase the traffic, as it is just a single-family home being proposed on the lot. We know it's a difficult corner there with the existing business across the street, but we feel as though with the driveway in the same location as the existing driveway, that this dwelling will not propose any additional concerns for that corner. One of the other things that we've tried to do throughout this whole process is to try and lessen the impact of this development on the neighborhood as much as possible. We did come through with 2 additional units proposed originally with the planning board, which was refused. Then we came back in with the single detached dwelling unit, and now we're proposing to try and attach it to bring it closer to that existing dwelling. The alternative here would be to do some type of commercial type of development on the parcel, which we feel would be a much more intense use for the property. And, we would ask your indulgence in looking at this for the applicant in allowing this proposed dwelling to move forward so that we can get this approved and provide for some additional housing for the folks of the city of Lowell.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody who would like to speak in favor for this petition? In favor? Anybody like to speak in opposition? Okay, we'll start with this gentleman over here to the left. Why don't you step up to the podium and state your name and address and tell us what you don't like about the project?
Hello, my name is Philip Gibbons. I live at 25 Corbett Street, 3 houses down from the proposed building. I was here at the last meeting, and I've been through the neighborhood meetings that they had in the lot. And I'm just here really to state that I feel sorry for the gentleman that owns the land. I feel people should be able to do what they want with their property. But this is the worst possible place to put a house. Since the last meeting, I've I've actually, every day, I've driven different ways and, put this in perspective. And with that liquor store, convenience store, you have to really view this with Spencer Street as more of a four-way intersection. It's a bus stop with traffic on a Friday night, visibility questions. This is just the worst place for I don't care what they want to do with it. I think you may have seen the size of the lot. I mean, it's a small yard. I just cannot see them putting a single-family house there. We have kids that get bused there. We have accidents routinely on those corners. I guess I just want to state, my opposition. I just think it's the worst place to put any type of dwelling. And main thing is safety concerns, visibility, just traffic there. I don't care how they twist the building around. It's a terrible place to put a home. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else like to speak in opposition? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Joyce Burgess. I live at 33 Corbett, and I definitely am opposed to this. I spoke at the last meeting. I think I've shared with you all my feelings about this. Recently, my husband was going up the street to leave Corbett Street, and the tenant that's currently there came down Corbett and had to swing to his lane in order to swing into that driveway. I was coming home last Thursday. I came from the Billerica East Chelmsford side, and I got there, and there was such a giant truck parked on that corner. I had to creep around the corner in order to get in onto Corbett Street. Tonight we were coming out. There were 4 cars parked along the fence where that driveway would be. 1 car on one side of the driveway, 1 car on the other side of the driveway going into for the package store, and I don't know how they're going to swing into that driveway. And now we're talking 6 parking spaces, 6 vehicles possibly. That's one of my biggest concerns. The other concern we were talking about earlier was during snow. They pile all the snow on that sidewalk, ordinarily from the package store and the convenience store, so that you had to go over. When that truck was there last week, I ran up with my camera. The card on my camera was full. I couldn't take a picture of the whole thing. But I stood there in that driveway where this proposed driveway is, and you had to see it to believe it. 2 cars backing out at the same time while another car was backing out this way, another car going off the curbstone onto Gorham Street, while there was the truck trying to pull out of Corbett Street and another vehicle trying to pull into Corbett Street. And this is typical. This is typical of the traffic pattern in that area. So that, like I said, you just had to see it. But I do have a question. If this building was allowed to be built, do they, like in order to do landscaping, or they wanted to put hedges or put giant bushes all around the front of that, do they have to come back to the planning board to do that? Or are they free to landscape that the way they want?
They can pretty much do what they want.
I had visions of Lundberg Street where they have a giant hedge and you have to pull onto Gorham Street in order to be able to see around that. Like I said, I'm looking in terms of the future. And I think that the idea of having 6 parking spaces in that driveway, I don't know if the board members had the opportunity to go up there and look at the stakes that are in the ground. I couldn't believe it. I thought there's a tiny little area. I mean, granted, he's talking about a breezeway, but there's a tiny area between what would be the 2 houses. And it doesn't sit that far back from the street, from Gorham Street, so that I just think that we're adding to a major problem that's already there. So therefore, that's my opposition.
Okay, thank you. Is anybody else like to speak in opposition? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, my name is Joseph McNamara. I live at 26 Cosgrove Street, 1 street over. I've been on Cosgrove Street for 40 years. I formerly lived in Pawtucket, lived my whole 68 years in the city of Lowell. I've seen, when I moved into Sweet Village, it's a beautiful place to live. And we had open space, but it seems like every lot is built on, but they were lots. This is a yard, a garden that goes with the house that exists there now. To put a house on that lot Hey, all well and good. What happens in 5 years from now or 10 years? There's so much anger out there with parking in my space. You're going to have, just going to add to it. You're just creating a problem down the road. We need some open space in the village. We cannot be building on every little postage stamp. And that's all it is. It was just a garden. And I just can't understand how we have to come back here every 3 or 4 weeks, first with the planning board, now with the zoning board. Doesn't he get the message? Is anybody listening to us? We're going to put a breezeway on and attach a house to it? We're going to have another Parker Street, another Stevens Street. The house on the lot is going to be another Wright Street. What do we need to do? How do we stop it? This is my neighborhood. This is where I've lived for 40 years. And this is where I'm going to stay. And I think it's about time that we had a say in our quality of life. Too many little things have gone on. Everybody gets what they want. Not the neighbors. Not the people that pay the taxes. I mean, we got so many problems with that corner. Just a curb cut in the package store that leads out onto Gorham Street. Totally illegal. I don't know how the city doesn't do something about it. It's about time that's been corrected. But first, let's take care of this house on a postage stamp lot. It's no place for a house. It's not big enough. It's going to be nothing but trouble down the road. I mean, hey, 40 years ago, everything was nice and friendly. The world has changed. You start crowding the spaces like they are, there's no need of putting a house there. There's none whatsoever. None whatsoever. It's the beautiful lot, they could have done a better job 10 years ago, but now is not the time to fill it with everything. And I just oppose it, and I know my neighbors that aren't here, they oppose it, and I'm just looking for a little consideration for the people that live there and have to deal with it. Mr. McGuire is going to be out somewhere else. He bought a piece of property. Hey, it's a gamble. I hope he loses. I'm praying he loses, because I don't want to be the loser. I don't want the neighborhood to be a loser. We've had enough. Enough is enough. It's time to act with the good judgment and not approve this change or allow them to build there. There isn't enough room on that lot for a good quality life. And 20 years from now, hey, who knows? All I hear, I watch a lot of television, all I hear is, so-and-so was in my space. Well, you know what's going to happen in 10 years. Everybody's in everybody's space because we're built on top of each other, and there's no place to put the house. And I just hope that you give us some consideration. And again, like my neighbor said, feel sorry for Mr. McGuire, but hey, it's a gamble. He tried. I hope he loses. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll open it to the board. Go, Jack.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. This is one of those inherent problems that we deal with, and with all due respect to the gentleman that just spoke, I will tell you that one of the things that we take very seriously is the quality of life for each individual who comes here opposing a petition, as well as recognizing the efforts of the petitioner. We all live here in the city, and we all have the same problems that we deal with from time to time. It just so happens in this instance, I do agree with the opposition. I do think it's one of the, as one of the neighbors put it, one of the worst locations that you possibly could look at in the city. It's a problem that you inherited, with all due respect, sir. And I don't know how it could do anything other than exacerbate the current traffic flow and conditions and hazardous conditions that currently exist there. Through no fault of your own, it's just inherent and what already exists there. It would only be made worse. Therefore, I would be in opposition to the petition. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Corey, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Well, I'm kind of in agreement with my colleague, Mr. Knox. Although I do feel Mr. McGuire has done similar projects in town, and he has done a good job, quite frankly, on some of them. And I believe he does have adequate parking for this. I don't believe it will be, in addition to traffic flow being right on the street, I don't think it'll affect that. But the problem is this house just sits too close onto Gorham Street. Now, these residents, who most of them live on Corbett, come onto Gorham. Is this house going to be obstructing their view? That's a serious concern of mine. And I cannot see voting positive on this until I get some kind of recommendation either from the engineer's office or the traffic department to clear this, because I am no expert in this, but I'm certainly not going to take a chance with these residents. So, as it stands right now, Mr. Chairman, I'm not for the petition. Thank you.
Thank you. Cesar?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do appreciate the neighbors coming out and, voice their concern, raise those issues. I, for one, take those issues very seriously because, again, I do not live at the location Gorham, Corbett, and Cosgroves and those streets. But I relied on the neighbors, basically, and also myself going there and look at the petition. From day one, I have concern with the petitions. Now, hearing again from the neighbor tonight, giving the density, the safety issues, as well as the traffic concern, I will be opposed to this petition tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Vince. Steve?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Mr. Geary, I believe at this point, the breezeway was to try and connect the houses to, make it flow better in the front of the actual house as you look at it. To put two units together that closely wouldn't meet Mass State Building Code, so you would need the breezeway to try and push them closer together. No, it would be an entryway for that house. They would be able to gain access from that backyard into that single-family house through that breezeway. One of the additional reasons for putting the breezeway there was to pull that proposed dwelling away from Corbett Street. We did pick up an extra, I believe, 4 feet on that side, as well as an additional 8 feet to the edge of the curbing. So the house corner location actually would be approximately 32 feet from Corbett Street, from that first curb. In addition, we were able to push that house back by lining it up with the existing dwelling to 15 feet off of the property line to Gorham Street with an additional 10 feet to the edge of curb. So it would be a total of 25 feet back from Gorham Street, which is more than consistent with the other dwellings as well as the businesses on Gorham Street. We haven't gone down that avenue yet, Mr. Geary, because we've not wanted to at this point. Really, what we've been trying to do is just propose some type of residential to keep it in kind with the neighborhood. We obviously don't want to exacerbate the problem that exists next door, which I believe, the neighbors wholeheartedly, I agree with them. There is a situation across the street, but it's not something that I believe that we would add to by providing this additional parking on the property. We would be, in my opinion, providing 6 spaces. There'd be no overflow from this parcel, no more than any other additional single family on Corbett Street that has visitors come over for holidays or anything to that effect.
Jack, was that Donna? Okay. Well, you never really answered Mr. Gary's question, I don't think. What can you put here if this gets denied? Can you put a commercial strip plaza here?
I believe that there is by right allowance of doing retail on the property, Mr. Chairman.
Retail without any special permits?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
But I'd have to double check on the zoning bylaw.
Okay, well, I agree with the board members. I'm totally against this. Number one, I think it's just too much for the lot. We did a zoning change probably back in December to eliminate situations like this and put the neighbors in harm's way. That last meeting that we're here, and I happened to go out and happened to get a phone call and was there for 5 or 10 minutes just talking, and the traffic that came in and out of that package store and convenience store was incredible. I was very, very surprised, and a couple of times something almost backed into me. There is a traffic issue there with no question. I'm a witness to it. So And I think if you do try to put up another house and it's attached or detached, it's going to be like a Westford Street, Beach Street, and a street that's in Pawtuckaville. I mean, we're trying to eliminate those. I mean, there's there's no need to put the neighbors or try to ruin their quality of life that Mr. McNamara had spoke earlier. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and try to do that to them. I don't think it's fair to them. So Mr. McGuire can make some type of profit, sell it, and then move on, and he doesn't have to deal with it, and neighbors do. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I'm in totally opposition, and I'm not sure what the rest of the board members are, but Mr. Geary, you have something you want to say?
No, just to follow up, sir, with what I was mentioning earlier. You know, I'm not really for this at all, and I understand the neighbor's situation, and I happen to agree with them, but I just want the neighbors to understand if there is some possibility of a commercial development there, it may be the lesser of the two evils, and I don't know that there is, and it doesn't appear to me as though there is, from what I'm looking at. Certainly, a commercial development or some sort of even variety store, there's one across the street, so that wouldn't necessarily make sense, but some other development that may be allowed for that use commercially could have a much more significant negative impact on the neighborhood than a residential dwelling. So if I had that answer, if I had a choice between commercial or residential, I would support this. But where there's no choice right now, and the fact that it doesn't appear to be a site that makes sense to develop commercially, at this point, without knowing anything more, I'd have to oppose it.
Okay. It's a TMU zone. I'm not sure what the setbacks would be and what he would have, what he could build on it. That's something the building department could tell us. Okay, I'm going to need a motion on this.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second it.
Call the roll, please.
Deny.
Deny.
Mr. Belanger?
Deny.
Mr. Kazarian?
Denied.
Deny.
You've been denied with 5 votes. Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much.
I also
for your
want to
time.
thank the neighbors for coming. Thank you. OmniPoint Communications, are they here? 527 Pawtucket Boulevard to allow an installation of wireless telecommunications facility and related equipment. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Appeals. My name is Brian Grossman. I'm an attorney with Prince Bell, Glovsky & Ty. I believe Dan Vasali, an associate of mine, was before you last, as this is a continued hearing. My understanding of really the action item on us as the applicant had to do with not so much notice in the sense of Chapter 40A, Section 11 notice, that having been taken care of, but some question about the fact that it is an active condo development that's undergoing some sales, and that there was some concern that some of the new owners of the property would have fallen through the cracks, so to speak, wouldn't have shown up on an abutters list, and that there was some concern that they wouldn't be aware of the proposal. So that being the concern of the board, my understanding is there was a request that the applicant or the property owner take care to try and serve notice on those new property owners that might not have been part of the, as I said, general Chapter 40A notice. To that end, I have a copy of a letter from Ron DeCola, who's a project manager for Grandview Condominium LLC, which states that they undertook to deliver by hand to a notice, which I also have a copy of, to the condominium owners or the new purchasers of condominium units there. And I have those for the board if I can approach and hand those out.
Yeah, can you bring it out, please? Okay, this is a letter here from the condominium, the owner that's building the condos, is that correct? I wish we got this earlier, because this way I could take a look at it, but, have you got any consent from the individuals buying the units? Have you talked to anybody? Has the owner talked to anybody?
We don't, in terms of individual consent, no. I mean, under...
Well, I mean, last time, that's what we talked about. I mean, I don't want an individual buying a condominium not knowing there's gonna be a cell tower on top of him. He's paying $350,000 or $400,000 for a condo, and now if he agrees with the tower, that's fine, but if he doesn't agree with it, I mean, he has no knowledge of this.
Well,
I mean, we talked about that last time you were here, and I thought you were gonna go out and reach out to the individual and get some type of list and have them sign it, letters from each individual that either bought or either has a purchase and sale.
I mean, this, like any other public hearing, is a public hearing. We've given them notice. I don't know if anyone has shown up in response to that notice.
Yeah, well, we talked about that. People with purchase and sales don't have, there's no possible way that you get reached out to them through a public hearing. And some of the people that just purchased probably either purchased prior or to that day. I mean, there's no way they got notified.
What I'm saying is through this notice, they've received that. The Grandview knew they would have a list that we wouldn't have. That's why we asked them to undertake to give notice.
It's not certified. I mean, it's not done properly.
I'm not quite sure what you mean, Mr. Chairman, by not done properly. There is no procedure for this. The procedure for this is prescribed by Chapter 48, Section 11. We did that.
I don't care about the procedure about 48, okay? It's simple. You reach out to 10 people that are buying the condominiums, do you want a cell tower? And just either say, yes, we do, or no, we don't. It's easy. It's not hard to do. I mean, they either talk to the owner of the condominium that's putting it up, or have the broker do it. Or even have yourself do it.
We have a lease with the proper property owner.
Yeah, but the poor individuals that are buying these units don't know what's going on there. That's my concern. I don't care about the property owner. I'm talking about the people that are buying the units. I want them to be notified. I want them to know what's going on there.
They were notified.
And we had the same discussion 2 weeks ago.
And we agreed to, and my understanding is
We agreed to it. You were going to get consent forms from the individuals that are buying.
That's not my understanding of what we agreed to.
Well,
What we agreed to was to try and give notice, to give those people an opportunity to come out tonight and present their opposition, if any, to the board.
It's something I didn't make up. This is the way we talked about it. You're going to reach out to the owner. He was going to get consent forms for the individuals that were either going to purchase or already purchased. And that's how we left it.
T-Mobile's position is that's not required, and they're not going to do it.
That's fine, okay. Is there anybody here like to speak in favor for this petition? Anybody in opposition? Yes, ma'am. Can you step up to the podium?
Good evening. My name is Lynn Shepard, and I live on 90 Bedford Avenue. I was here 3 weeks ago when the continuance was placed on it. I had looked at their plans and, seemed pretty good. I did happen to, keep hearing that cell towers needed to be registered with the Registry of Deeds. So in my free time, I just went online and I checked to see how many cell towers were actually in the neighborhood. And I was shocked. Right in that area, and I have a map, and I also have some copies, and you'll have to forgive me because I'm shaking.
If you want to bring them up, sure. Okay.
This is the proposed site of where the condo is and where the tower is going. Up on Barnum Avenue at the Church of the Nazarene, there's a cell tower there that's owned by OmniPoint. On Tottenham Road, by the State Forest, there's another cell tower, and that's not owned by Omni, but is actually owned by, sorry, not quite sure there, one of the other carriers. Right next to the condominium on the corner of Shirley Avenue, the Saab building, there's a tower there that's owned by Verizon. Lowell General has a tower on top of their building. And right here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 towers. Across the river, we have one on Princeton Boulevard, and that is actually in the mill in North Chelmsford. Directly across the river on Princeton Boulevard, Omni owns a cell tower. They have dibs on a cell tower on Westford Street at Drum Hill, Trinity Ambulance location. Omni owns one on Marginal Street, and they also own one by the South Common. And then if you want to keep going further out, there's one on River Road. There's approximately 19 plus cell towers in the city of Lowell. 6 of them, like I said, and probably more because I didn't know what else to look under. I looked under Verizon, OmniPoint, Singular, Nextel. Sprint has a couple, Varnum Avenue, Princeton Boulevard, and Summer Street. My question to the board is, first of all, as far as the butters go to cell phone towers, what's the distance? Who do you notify and how far away from the towers that's going up? You know, is it 100 feet, is it 200 feet? I got a notice that this meeting was going to happen, but my neighbor across the street didn't. You know, so how many feet do you contact the people in radius of the cell phone tower? You know, saturation to one given area. That section of Pawtucketville, of Lowell, is, you know, has all these cell towers already. You know, I mean, when they finish the second tower, am I going to be down here again because they want to put another cell phone tower on top of that one too? OmniPoint. I know that under federal law, I can't say, you know, my health, your health, our health that's there. But has OmniPoint provided documentation stating that they have a dead zone there, that they're dropping calls and customers are, you know, losing their use of their cell phone? And, you know, if each one of these towers handles 500 customers, and then from there is transferred to another cell phone tower where 5 more potential callers can use, so on and so forth, up to a radius of, what, about 5 miles or so. That means that OmniPoint is servicing over 8,000 customers right in this general area of Lowell. Do they really need another tower? You know, have they checked out other locations in Lowell that are non-residential? Crosspoint Towers, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 tower on their building, but it handles 5 different cell phone carriers. Have they gone to a non-residential area of Lowell and proven that they can't put that cell phone tower in there to get the same results? The other question I have is, they were saying 3 weeks ago that the FCC requires them a maximum output. Who's watching them? Who's checking on those towers every 90 days in the city or in the state? Because it's not the FCC, as far as I could find any of that information. Who's watching them to make sure that they are complying with FCC regulations? And if they aren't, who's going to say, turn it down or fix your equipment? What kind of penalties do they involve? I mean, you know, there's traffic signs on the highway that say I have to drive 65 miles an hour, but you can ask my husband, I don't. You know? So who's watching them? You know, what about my property value, my neighbor's property values? Now when somebody comes up and they want to buy my house and they say to me, do you know if there are any cell towers? And I've got to honestly say, yeah, I got 4 of them around me, you know? So I guess that's, you know, my reasons behind not wanting another cell tower. I think I have enough in my backyard.
I think you're right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a tape change.
Okay.
Continue.
Okay. Anybody else like to speak in opposition? Yes, ma'am.
I live on 54 Jennifer Road, right on the corner of Bedford and Jennifer Avenue. I spoke to one of this couple that moved from Jennifer onto this condominium. It is a dark night. They both one of them had cataract surgery. They didn't want to come out on this wet night. They do not understand. They said, we got a notice, but we didn't understand anything about this. And this is the answer to when you said, did anybody come from there? They did. One of them, I know who lives there, they did get one paper in the mail, but they don't understand the consequences. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else like to speak in opposition? Opposition, hearing none. Okay, we'll open it to the board. Go ahead, Jack.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, we are in receipt of a letter from one of the residents at the condominiums, Mr. Michael Sullivan, stating he did have some concerns. He closes by saying, I have a business commitment on November 13th that would prevent me from attending this public hearing on that date. I have several questions on this request and ask that I be allowed the opportunity to be heard on the matter before any decision is made by your board. I appreciate your help. And he currently is a resident, according to the letter from Mr. Michael B. Sullivan.
Okay. Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I'm kind of less than impressed with T-Mobile, to be honest with you. I'm in agreement with yourself, Mr. Chairman, that we made this perfectly clear. And for starters, our last meeting was 3 weeks from tonight, not 2. So T-Mobile had adequate time. We're trying to work with you, okay? Grandview is an outstanding project. We're glad to have it in the city. Aesthetically, we're happy with the cell tower. It's hidden. We have no problem with it, but we just don't want it to be a secret. And I know one thing, you're not going to get my vote until I feel, these tenants are satisfied and they know about it and they're signed off on it. Now, it's easy enough to do. There's a builder, he can communicate with the realtor to the buyer. It can happen in a day, truthfully, okay? I've been involved. It can be done, okay? Your colleague 3 weeks ago spoke that, there's no known health effects of cell towers, and there might not be, but we still don't know the long-term effects of these things yet. And I'm not going to prove it under the cuff with somebody living downstairs from home without them knowing about it. It's that simple. So you need to make a supreme effort to reach out to these people that both they're now under agreement in a disclosure form for a potential buyer, that it's there. They should know that. It says, wouldn't you want to know it? I know I'd want to know it. So, again, no problem aesthetically with the cell tower, but these tenants or potential buyers need to be notified. Simple as that. Thank you.
Is all set? Go, Steve.
They were notified by hand. Well, I think that there is a differentiation between the letter that says, signed by Mr. DeCola, that says they were given notice by hand through his company versus the notice insert. I mean, most notices for public hearings that I receive aren't signed either. At best they may be typewritten. Mr. Jones, Chairman of the Board of Appeals of town of somewhere in Massachusetts. So, in terms of the notice itself, I mean, the notice itself gives some background, gives all of the same things that a notice under 40A would give, and it gives the time, the location, and then there would be an opportunity to be heard here. That was given by hand by the developer to the purchasers of the condominium that they're aware of, meaning that they have obviously access to better records than we do. The people I've heard tonight, other than the letter from Mr. Sullivan, didn't come in response to it. They had prior notice. They were part of the 40A notice. No one has come from the notice that was provided by hand.
Well, first of all, they don't have anybody to call to ask. I mean, you've mentioned the letter that was signed, the letter that we got. I mean, Mr. DeCola had the sense to sign the letter that was addressed to the Board of Appeals. But the letter that was left, at least the way I'm reading it, unless you have another one that was signed, the letter that I'm looking at that's dated November 6th and addressed dear member of the Grandview condominium community, and its ending is Grandview Condominiums LLC, as opposed to the letter you addressed us where it gives Mr. DeCola. Now, I don't know if Mr. DeCola didn't want to be bothered with the questions, and maybe he rightfully didn't want to be, but he is a party to this in some form or fashion because he has an interest in it. What concerns me further is the owners right now in that condominium project and the future owners do have an interest in it. And I agree with you. This isn't like if you were going to put in a subdivision or build a house and you notified all the neighbors, and you can't go to the trouble to figure out how many neighbors moved, or right now that particular house on Elm Street is under agreement, so you've got to go find out. I mean, I think that would be unreasonable. And in this case, I think you have a brand-new, multi-million-dollar condominium complex that people have invested in that, just as Mr. Kisanjian said, have a right to at least know. And I think that's the intent of 40A. I mean, it may not hold up, but I think that's the intent of 40A. And if I were part of this project, I think I would have gone to the effort to at least notify those people and maybe ask if they could come in here or write a letter or sign something. And I think that's really all we were asking. I haven't heard anybody being opposed to this project, so I want you to understand that. I just think that there seems to be a lack of communication here, and I think that's probably what your biggest hurdle is.
Well, if I can, the notice that you have is the notice that was given in terms of the text. I believe the notice that was handed out was signed by Mr. DeCola's company, or somebody at Mr. DeCola's company with a name, a position. These folks are people who just would have recently purchased. They're certainly going to know exactly who to contact in terms of if they have a question about this new unit they've just bought. They're going to know exactly who. The players haven't changed from a company standpoint in 2 weeks. In terms of notice, it's always going to be a moving target. If we continue for 3 weeks, say, okay, take a better shot at it, then, as you pointed out, we think someone closed the day of the last hearing. I mean, someone could sign a purchase and sale agreement the day of the next hearing, and the day of and continue it again and continue it again. We're trying to make an honest effort, or we've made what we think is an honest effort to notify the people that we're beyond entitled to notice, but we've tried to make an honest effort to address the board's concern.
It's a very easy thing to do. I mean, you have your broker. When you make a purchase sale, they present the letter that there's going to be a cell tower. If they agree to it, they sign that letter. It's easy. They give it to you. You come to the meeting with the letters. It's not a hard thing to do. I'm in the business, so don't tell me it is. I mean, the broker handles everything. They can do this in a day. And every day it comes, you get a new purchase and sale, they do it that day. So you go the day before the meeting, or the day at the meeting, you stop over there, what do you have for letters, and they give it to you, you bring the letters here, and everybody's notified. So don't tell me it can't be done, because I know it can be.
I mean, I guess my question is to what end? I mean, if we did as you suggest, And we at least certify that, we have a list of the people who were at least given notice, and we certify that that's all the purchasers as of a certain time and date, noon today. If 95% of them say, yep, I'm aware, and this isn't a problem for me, but another 5% do. So 20 people, 20 unit owners say fine, there's 25 sold, 5 owners say no. I'm not sure where that gets us.
Well, the board members have to decide that. Well, I can't answer that question. But at least everybody's notified. Then we can vote on, okay, most of the people are for it, some aren't. But at least we have something to go on. Right now, nobody is notified, and I'm not gonna put them in harm's way. I mean, there's no way I'm gonna do that. Here you are, people get this life savings, they're spending $350,000 or $400,000 for a condominium. They can live there for the rest of their lives, not knowing there's a cell tower on top of them. I don't think it's fair. I mean, you want to make the sale, you want to make it happen, and it seems like you don't really care about the individual that's going to be moving there. We do. We're here to protect them, and we're going to make sure they are protected. Now, if you want to continue this for 2 weeks, and you feel that you can do due diligence and get this thing signed by each individual, whether it's a yes or no, then we'll continue it. But don't waste our time and come back here, and don't waste the neighbors' time. So it's up to you, and it's up to the board too. But right now, like I said, I don't have a problem continuing it. If I vote on it to myself, I'm gonna vote to deny it, because I just don't feel that everybody got a proper notice, and I don't think it's fair to them. Go, Jack.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I agree with the initial overture you extended about the idea of a continuance, but there's one comment I'd like to make. I feel as though OmniPoint has placed the onus, maybe for obvious reasons, on the project developer and the owners of the condominiums. And I don't know how much effort OmniPoint or you yourself had put into this beyond the fact that you went to your client and said, this is what you need to do. I think you, as a representative of OmniPoint and OmniPoint, I think it was incumbent upon them also to reach out to the owners. And I think that's what we're trying to say, maybe collectively. And I think what the chairman and also fellow board member, Mr. Gary, was saying is that had there been a list, and Mr. Gary's absolutely right. We're not talking about a project that's a year or 2 years old. We're talking about a project where there are probably, as Mr. Gary stated, maybe no more than 10 individuals. And had you come in here this evening with a list of 10 names and said 8 of these individuals have been notified and they don't have any problem, I think we would have voted favorably. What we're all concerned about is what appears to be a lack of effort. And I would agree with the chairman that if we were to vote tonight, I would vote to deny. If we vote to continue, I think I would like to see the effort made, and I'd like to see these individuals notified. That's where we're coming from.
Well, one of the reasons we've tried to go through the development company is, and I know Dan Vasali was here last time, a couple of days after the hearing, Dan, as I think one of the abutters did, went on to the Lowell Deeds website, which is online and at least is fairly up to date in terms of recent transactions. You can only search so far back, and did a quick search, see what we could find, see how many just unit owners were there. At that time, there was one unit owner. We found one, and it was Mr. Sullivan who wrote the letter. So it's going to change day by day. If the question is, are we going to get someone to sign on a line that says, I'm either in favor, I'm not, I have to be honest with you, I don't see that happening. If I were that person, or if I were their attorney, I'd say, you haven't heard anything about the project. Go to that meeting and figure it out. If the question is, how many purchase and sales are there? How many units are outstanding in terms of unsold lot units that are currently contracted for? How many units are sold? Who are those people? Can you give me a list and check off, yes, they were notified, no, they weren't? We can go back to the developer, and I think I can get that done. But to get a yes or a no on a piece of paper, I don't know that I get that. I
have a question. The money that's going, this lease, is it going to go towards the owner of the building, or is it going to go for the condominium association?
The lease is with the Grandview DLC that's on the letter. Ultimately, in a transaction, how that ultimately were to work out, that's something I think that's something that that would end up being a contractual matter down the road that doesn't actually necessarily deal with us, much as if I enter into a transaction with Mr. Knox, he then sells the property, and 2 years down the road, he either may section that part off or do something to keep the revenue to himself. He may build that into the purchase price and say, here's what I'm getting, here's the disclosure. To buy the property, including the lease revenue that I'm getting, it's going to be X number of dollars. How they're going to do that, I couldn't tell you. I can't speak for them.
Well, that'd be a big part of it also. I mean, we don't want to put a cell tower over there. If the owner is all done the project in a year from now and he's collecting some type of rent off of that, and now the homeowners that are living there aren't getting any benefit from it at all. You know, I think if anything, it should benefit the individuals that live in the condominium. They're the ones that are going to have to put up with it, and if there is any type of problems or any type of quality of life situation, they're the ones that have to deal with it, not the owner of the property who probably lives 20, 30 miles away.
I mean, that's a negotiation between parties
No,
that's
that's
going to take
something
place
we want.
well
I mean,
down the road.
You're coming on board for relief, for a special permit. These are things we're asking. Don't tell me what's going to be down the road. We want these questions answered. I mean, and a couple of questions we asked you last time, and you're not answering. You just, finally, you're answering now. It can't be done. You're not willing to go to these individuals that either bought or are buying and ask them if they're gonna consent on a cell tower.
We can ask for it. I can't guarantee they're going to answer. That's all I said is I can't guarantee. I can ask the question. I can guarantee that I can give you a list that says they've been
Well, I'm gonna
notified.
say they're
But
gonna
I can't
either-
guarantee that Mr. Kazanjian's going to give me an answer on my question.
I'm gonna either say, I'm sure 99% of the people are gonna say yes or no. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna have some type of concern, either they're gonna want it, or they're not gonna want it. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. Good, Mr. Gary.
Counsel, I just want to clarify what I said, and I can't speak for the other board members, but for my purposes to vote on it, I'm not looking for somebody to check off yes or no they support it. That's not my problem. My problem is with proper notice. If people oppose it, they have to come here like all these neighbors and sit here and voice their opinion. They can't check off, in my opinion anyway, they shouldn't be able to check off a box saying, and for the same sense, whether they're for it. They shouldn't be able to say, I'm for it, and just hand it and go there, and not have to show up to the meeting, not come to the trouble to come down here and speak. If they're opposed to it enough, then they'll come down here and they'll speak and they'll give us their reasons, and we'll judge the decision based on the reasons that they give us. But my purpose is, I just want to know that the people who are in there right now are notified, and I don't think it's that difficult to notify them and get them to sign something, say, I've been notified, or do more certified letters and bring the green cards in, or find out who all the people who are under contract and notify them through the broker, something like that, other than just a letter that's just signed Grandview Condos LLC. But for my purposes, and again, I can't speak for the other board members, but I'm not looking for a thumbs up or thumbs down by people who check off a box and you hand me something in a meeting. That's not what I'm looking for. I don't know that there's a lot of opposition to this, but I think of some of the basic questions we answered. I think a lot of the problem is there seems to be, a cloud of mystery around this, and I think people are getting the wrong perception. I don't think there necessarily is a mystery, but I think it's given the appearance that there is a mystery. I don't know why Mr. DeCola wouldn't put his name and phone number there so maybe people can call, because what are they supposed to do with this? They can either come down here or not, and a lot of them probably couldn't come down tonight. But I think that if you just, I don't want to say you, but personally, but I think if the owner and OmniPoint is more upfront about what they're doing and answer some basic questions rather than, saying, well, we don't have to answer that, I think it would go a long way. And again, I don't sense a lot of opposition to this necessarily if things are done properly, or at least done fairly and equitably. That's just my position.
Okay, and if that's the case, a certified letter would be definitely warranted. Also, the way you're wording this letter, I mean, it's install or operate a stealth rooftop wireless communication facility. I mean, just like this young lady over here said, they don't even know what this is about. That's, you're gonna put cell tower on top of your roof. I mean, it's, that's basically, abbreviations put cell tower. People are gonna know what you're talking about. I mean, what you put over here, yeah, and
I've received legal notices that are more vague than this. I mean, we tried to be clear.
everything is not clear. This young lady said somebody did get a notice. He has no clue what's going on. That's,
Would they have been any more clear had they
What-
received the notice from the city?
Where,
The notice from the
Well,
city is a small postcard. It has less information than this does.
well, at least it would have been a certified letter.
We can certainly do certified. We can get a list. We can tell you the date that of the letter of the list that we're using and who it was sent to. The only problem I see with that is certified letters take a little bit of time. So my only question is, what would be, I guess, the close date?
How much time do you think it's going to take? We'll give you the amount of time. We already gave you 3 weeks, and
No, understood.
that was a waste of time. But how much time are you looking for?
No, I mean, I guess it's not a question of accomplishing it in terms of time. What I'm saying is the certified mail needs to go out. So if I mailed it 3 days from now, and the next hearing were in 2 weeks, would there be a question then that we closed the list 3 days from now? And so the intervening 11 days, there could have been purchase and sales agreements.
Well, I would have you ask the broker if somebody is going to sign a purchase and sale, that they be notified or some type of letter they hand the individual. I mean, we want these people to be aware of what they're buying. I mean,
Understood.
The bottom line, that's what we want.
Understood, and we're willing to try. I'm willing to agree to go back and take another crack at this. Again, I can't make the developer hand a notice or a real estate agent hand a notice to anyone either. I mean, we can go back, we can ask, we can get their cooperation in terms of unit owners that are sold, in terms of people who've signed purchase and sale agreements. But you know the market as well as I do. I can't force a real estate broker to hand someone a notice. I can't force the developer to put the notice in front of someone. We can make an honest effort. I can do my company, OmniPoint, can do the best that we can do. We can work with the landowner, but at the end of the day, we can only put in the honest effort we can, and it may be enough to satisfy the board. It may not.
Well, right now it's not an honest effort. It really isn't. It's got to be a lot better than what you're doing. Let me put it that way there. Just seems to me like the developer doesn't care one way or the other. You probably reached out to him, so we got a dead spot over here. Your building will work perfect for us. And he says, all right, if you want to go to the board, get it squared away, it's up to you. And that's what it seems to me.
No, this has been, I mean, to be fair, this has been an active search area for a long period of time.
Yes,
There's been a number of different candidates that
Right.
have come through, and so this wasn't just a first crack of, this building's fine, we'll just go with this one.
Right, but my thing is, it doesn't seem like the developer cares one way or the other whether the cell tower goes there or not. Seems like more that OmniPoint is pushing it more so than the developer. Because if the developer wanted it, he would reach out to these people and spend the time and make it happen. Am I correct?
Possibly.
Right.
I'm more concerned about getting
and to get a
the
cell,
notice right in terms of what the board is looking
Yeah.
for. I just want to make sure I've got that. I did get it secondhand. I was tried to work with my contacts at OmniPoint to do something. Clearly, that didn't work out. So
Okay.
I'm here. I want to know exactly what I need to do. So when I go back tomorrow, I say, this is it. I'm going to control the process. I'm going to come back to you, tell you exactly what I did, and it's either going to be enough or it's not. But I just want to make sure I meet, or at least know what your expectations are, so that I can try and meet them. And we've talked about a couple ways to try and do that. Certified mail, certainly we can do that. But when do I close the list? When do you want me to mail the notice?
well, I would want you to let the broker have some type of paperwork, so when they do sign a purchase and sale, which you can check on a daily basis, if there is any, to present it to the individuals. I don't think that's a hard thing to do. When the brokers, when they show the condominium, the broker presents this letter saying we're going to put the cell tower on top, and while they're there signing the purchase and sale, they can sign this letter and get it to you and bring it to us. Now I know they're notified.
But then we're not doing it certified.
The certified letter is going to go to the individuals already living there. How many people live in there? 8 or 10 people?
Last time I checked the registry of deeds, there was one sale on record. But
Okay. Well, whoever, how many people there? The people living there, you can reach out to them with a certified letter. If you have any purchases or sales that are signed already, maybe reach them out, find out where their addresses are and reach out to them with a registered letter also.
well, so they should have a notice address on the purchase and
But
sale.
if you get any new individuals, get a letter to the broker, and it's easy for them to sign it. It's not hard, unless they have one, unless they don't want to have anything to do with it. If that's the case, then they're going to have a problem. Go ahead, Vezza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please, like Mr. Knott said, if you and the broker will work together collectively, and I would also inject it, or add on to what Mr. Knott said, the next meeting, whether that be 2 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now, that you invite the broker here so that question regarding where those monies going to go to, whether to the condo association or to the brokers. I mean, if he's here, sitting here, we can ask him point blank, but he's not here and you's here. So maybe the next time you invite him. If you don't get answer from him, invite him, because seem like you and the broker want to get this done. Let's get it done. Whether 2 weeks from now or 4 weeks from now, invite him here.
We'll request a representative show up. Again, I can't command someone
Will
to
the
show up.
broker show up with you? Is that a possibility? The broker?
sorry?
Will the broker show up at the meeting?
I can ask. I mean, I can ask, I can recommend
Okay.
strongly, but that's the best I can do.
If not, we might be able to put a condition that it maintains with the condo association, and it doesn't go to the owner or the developer.
Mr. Chairman, I would respectfully suggest that's an illegal condition and an unreasonable condition.
Well, okay. Do you want to continue this for 2 or 3 weeks, or
Please.
what is our next meeting? What is it?
November 27th, Mr.
November 27th? Okay. Does that give you enough time to do what you have to do?
It does.
Okay. I'm going to need a motion to continue for the November 27th meeting.
I'd make a motion to continue to November 22nd,
I second.
27th.
Call the roll, please.
Continue.
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 Continued.
Continue to November 27th.
Okay, I just want to let the neighbors know that you won't be notified, so that it's going to be November 27th, is that correct? Okay. All right, just show up at 6:30. Thank you for coming. We need to sign some paperwork, please, before you leave. Vasilius Panagiotopoulos, 124 Stevens Street, for a special permit to expand a non-conforming 5-family to a 6-family dwelling in a TSF zoning district with variance for insufficient unusable open space, land area per dwelling, unit landscaped parking, open space, and screening setback requirements.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name's Yanni Panagiotopoulos. I'm Vasilius' son. I'm speaking on his behalf. We purchased the property 124 Stevens Street 1.5 years ago. It was a partially burned building. At the time, it was inhabited as a 6-unit building. My father purchased it and renovated it and brought it up to code as the 6 units that it was. Currently, we have the 6 unit is uninhabited with no kitchen. I use it as a place of office and studying, but otherwise it's empty. We're comfortable in making this request that is consistent with the neighborhood. There are other large residential dwellings, apartment buildings down the street of 20 and 30 units, and many duplexes on Stevens Street. It's respectful to the neighborhood. There's ample off-street parking. I'm not sure if you have the parking plan there, but there are 12 spots, so there will be 2 spots for this extra unit. And it's all off-street. There's no further construction to be done, so it's respectful to the neighborhood in the sense there'll be no more noise. And there's also 0 inconvenience to the neighbors with this happening. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody like to speak in favor for this petition at 124 Stevens? In favor? Anybody in opposition? Yes. Okay, yes, ma'am. Why don't you step up to the podium, state your name and address?
My name is Gail Heward, and I live at 17 Nicolette Street, which is a street that runs perpendicular and ends directly at this property. I understood this was legal now as a 5-family. It is in a traditional single-family zone neighborhood. I think it's bad enough that it was allowed to be turned into a 5-family, and the fact that they want to turn it into a 6-family is like a slap in the face to the owners of traditional single-family homes in the neighborhood. And if Lowell really wants to be the city it's claiming to be, preserving the integrity of the neighborhood should be paramount on the minds of people allowing these kind of variances. I also feel I owe it to the legacy of Arthur Cutler, who was one of the architects of this very building and who's built the house that we now occupy. I must do my best to preserve what he built and try to maintain the quality of life our home offers by fighting against the deterioration of our traditional single-family neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in opposition? Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Okay. Go ahead.
Please.
Hi, I'm Rita Agostinelli. I live at 118 Stevens Street, which is directly next door to the property in question. And my husband and I have several concerns regarding this becoming a 6-family home. First of all, with our research, we were under the impression that it was an illegal 4-family before the fire, and now we find out it was a 5, and now they want a 6. And also, we never saw any plans, and I'd really like to know how they plan on fitting 12 cars in the back lot. It doesn't look at ample space for 12 cars, and it could be even more than 12, maybe even 15 cars.
We have a plan up here if you want to come over and take a look. You want to come up to the
Yes.
table?
And I
Okay,
also
go ahead.
have a few other concerns as well. Since they say the parking's illegal parking, what if there's more than 12 cars? I mean, that doesn't take that into account, and during the winter months, people can't park on the street overnight. And also, it is a single-family neighborhood, and I don't know how that was allowed to continue as a 4 or 5 family beforehand. Secondly, right next to our driveway, it looks as though there are AC units. I'm not positive on this because I don't have one myself, but there's about 3 AC units, and they look to be like the type that get very noisy, especially, during peak summertime, and we're concerned about the noise level. Another issue we have is, with our research, I'm under the impression that the owner is not going to be living at the residence, so we are a little concerned about owner not being on the property, and as to, if something goes wrong, is he going to be easily reachable? And I think that's it.
Okay, just to answer your question with the AC units, they're just your normal homeowner AC units, just like an average house.
There's 3 right next to each other.
I thought it was 2. I was up there today, I thought there was 2. I believe it's 3. Yeah, well, maybe I missed one, but, okay. All right, okay. Anybody else like to speak in opposition? Yes, sir.
I also live at 17 Nicollet Street, and I was there when the building burned. I may have been the guy that called in the 911 call, and I watched it for the 8 hours that that piece of property, that piece of history of Lowell deteriorated. It's questionable whether the fire could have been nipped in the bud. It looked like it could have been, but by the time I had finished my call to the authorities, it was pretty well involved. The questions about history, which is my concern, what was a lamentably lost building has now been resurfaced on both the interior and the exterior. and looks a little bit like a big balloon blown up in a small bird cage. The footprint of the structure may not have changed, but the size of the building is gargantuan to what was there before. The misunderstanding about whether it was a 4-family or a 5-family turning into a 6, I can't really speak to. But my little, my little drawing sort of shows you what happens in wintertime. This house is located here. We're located here. There's a house in the corner, single family next to us. House down the road that didn't sell, a single family. This house here on Stevens Street, opposite side, has undergone extensive renovations with very little occupancy at this point in time. The reason for all these question marks is what precedent does this multifamily unit bear on these future real estate transactions? The other thing I'd like to point out is that with the Christian Center parked over here and the new parking restrictions on Stevens Street, several cars, 6, 7, from these large apartment buildings up the road to the south park here every night. There's other cars over in the middle of the parking lot. I don't recognize all these cars. I certainly don't recognize those cars. Makes the possibility of neighborhood watch totally infeasible. These cars have parking spaces over here. It's overflow parking, and they didn't park in the church parking lot before, but they could park on Stevens Street. Now they can't. When winter comes, they're parked along Nicollet Street. There was a box truck parked out there last year. He had a parking space in back of one of these large apartment buildings, but it didn't accommodate the box truck. Every morning, the box truck would start warming up its engine. This happened for a period of 8 or 9 months, starting last fall, running through the winter at 5 o'clock in the morning. His departure time after starting the truck, a diesel truck, was sometime a half an hour to 2.5 hours later, one day last winter. The snow plows couldn't adequately plow the road. The other cars were parked there. Again, they're not parked there tonight, but they'll be parked there in winter. So somehow, the driveways aren't getting plowed, the accommodations for the snow aren't available, whatever. But it leads to parking situations that make snowplow removal impossible and changes the basic character of the neighborhood. The question to me is a bit about money. And if we're taxed on it being a single-family neighborhood, then I think we have the right to try to minimize the number of people parking legally or illegally, and generally try to preserve the quality of life on Nicollet Street, which is truly one of the unique streets in Lowell in terms of architecture and single-family dwellings. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Anybody else in opposition? Okay, hearing none, I think we'll open up to the board. My only comment is it's very unusual to see a lot that can house enough units for, in this case, it's 12 cars. I mean, and he's got room, if he removes that tree, it looks like he can put 2 more over there. But anyways, I'll open to the board and see what they have to say, and we'll go from there. Go, Jen.
What kind of arrangements it's currently 5 units are currently occupied? And you used...
Why don't you step up to the podium so this way you can ask some questions?
5 units are currently occupied.
Correct, sir.
The 6th space is currently functioning as a study, I think you said? Or
Yeah, I'm studying for my
office study?
optometric
Okay.
boards right now.
So for all intents and purposes, the structure has been in place as you come before us now, how long?
Of a year?
A year? Okay.
Actually, no, I take it back. It's about 6 months it's completed.
What kind of arrangements were made for snow removal last year?
Oh, I have a person who does that on automatic.
Not just applying, but was the snow taken from the area as well so that there's going to be ample parking for the vehicles?
Oh, yeah, it's plenty of parking. It's 12,000 square feet of land there, so you can fit more than 14, 16 cars there.
I think what Jack is asking, if it need be, we're gonna require to have snow removal off the site, so we can, if we do get a lot of snow, that they can, the parking won't be eliminated.
If need be, that's a possibility, but also realize this is a conservative drawing of the lot. There's also other spots that we could need to be, but that's very conservative, and we have a maximum of 2 cars per unit, so there won't be more than those 2. It suffice for the whole.
You're talking about your tenant agreement?
In the tenant agreement is 2 cars.
Okay. I think, in my own opinion, in this particular instance, because the structure's been in place, and with the exception that that 6th unit is now being used as a study, is the only variance. If the parking is going to be sufficient, if the petitioner adheres to the conditions of the snow removal and any other conditions that any other board members may want to place, then I would be in favor of the petition.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Go ahead, Corey.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. This is a very difficult one. I mean, I'm sure, for starters, I do reside in the neighborhood, like many of you people, and I realize the integrity of the neighborhood, and you all do a very nice job maintaining your homes, that's for sure. But I'm sure we're happier now with the building. I mean, they did a fantastic job with the rehab. I must credit them. I mean, it's better than a burnt-down building, which, you know, if some Mr. Pangiotopoulos doesn't come across, it could very well still be that way. So I do credit him for that, and I'm much more pleased with the situation now. But the main issue here is parking, to be honest with you. I don't want these cars coming out in the street or flooding Nicollet Street whatsoever. I won't let it happen. But I think spending some time, Mr. Chairman, on site in the rear of the building, they do have it in a sense. I would be possibly for the petition if, number one, the condition is made that the trailer is removed, for starters. Now, there's also a shed in the backyard. Is that crucial?
That's a must. Both of those would have to be removed.
Yeah. If we can remove the trailer, the shed, and possibly the tree, I know it's additional expense, but it's 1 or 2 more spots. It makes a difference.
For the record, that trailer is not ours. We've been trying to get it off the lot of the previous owner, and that will be taken care of. So it's an inconvenience to us more than it is to anybody else. Okay, Mr. Chairman, well, with all that said and that, if we can make it a condition to add additional spots onto what we have here to make it an extra, I might see clear to pass the petition, but we'll see how the board members feel. Thank you very much.
Okay. Go ahead, Ves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do hear the concern, the neighbor concerned, those who spoke tonight. I also went to see the site visit, and one of my fellow board member was there. I concur with my fellow board member to my left that the property has been renovated and has renovated. You know, you've done a great job to the property. I do agree that in order for you to put up this parking, you have to remove the trailer as well as the shed that was there. And I also heard you spoke of conditions that the tenant, that you agree with the tenant that per unit there will be 2 car only. It certainly help if you have 12 or 13 spot. 12 spot, certainly 2 spot per unit. It certainly addressed the concern of the neighbor to some extent that your tenant would not be parking right in front of their yard or whatnot. In addition to that, the other conditions that my fellow board members spoke of is snow removal, because if you have 12 spots there, wintertime snow, you have to remove the snow out of those lot in order to store those 12 cars. So that certainly be something that I like to see if approved tonight. It is a tough petition, but giving the parking, the fact that you address the parking and hopefully build into the condition of the snow removal, I can see myself vote for this petition.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a tape change.
Okay, good. Mr. Geary?
Well, I could certainly understand the neighbors' point of view and their concerns, and I think they're legitimate concerns. But, you know, when I look at this plan and I look at the building and they're not adding on a structure, and that is, you're not adding on anything. It's basically any impact on the neighborhood, if there is one, is going to be subtle. I guess if they didn't have the parking, would have a much more difficult decision because we would then be burdening the neighborhood or the streets with additional parking. And I agree with Mr. Kazanji, it's very unusual, especially in this area, that there is that much land in the back to have that many parking spots, and it appears to be very conservative, that they could possibly get, 14 to 16. I don't know if they need to remove the tree, maybe, but one question I did have, if they didn't, is that a means of egress there on the other side? Or is that, I'm looking at the scale and it says 11 feet, but then the deck goes out maybe a foot. So it's probably a 10-foot passageway. Is that even a passageway? Is there something blocking?
On the right side of the building?
Yes.
The right side of the building, it's 27 feet.
Are you looking from the front of the house?
From the front.
From the front
From the front, and I'm looking at the driveway to the right. So if I'm looking at the plan, I'm reading Stevens Street.
Yep.
And the proposed driveway 15 feet heading in.
Yeah,
And then you go into the parking area. What I'm saying is when you come around and now you're heading, can you head back out, or is there something that blocks that egress?
There's nothing that blocks it.
No.
You can fit 2 cars.
Except the
down.
tree, right?
The tree.
No, it's not even the tree here in the front. With the 15 you saw in the front here?
He's saying going around the corner, you're saying going into the back parking lot.
Going into the back parking lot and then continuing back out of the parcel onto Stevens. Is there, can
No,
you
it's
get?
not a tree there.
There's not a tree on the pavement, there's one above ground on the other yard. There isn't one in the driveway. There's
Okay.
a wall,
It's-
stone wall, and it's on
It's drawn on the plan here to be place a tree there. It's not there a tree now.
Okay, I apologize, I'm probably not being clear.
Mm-hmm.
When you come in the driveway on the right side, what I'm asking is, can you go in or in or out of the driveway on the left side?
On the left.
I know there's no driveway, but could there possibly be a way to get out there, or is it something that would block a driveway?
No, the left side is grass.
Just all grass?
It's grass and all the way in.
I know I visited, but I don't recall, is it sloped down, or is it?
Yeah, it's sloped
I thought, okay. Well, that answers that question, but still, as I look at the project, it's a 6-family within the walls that are existing right now, and the parking appears to be more than sufficient, and I do agree there has to be some conditions about the shed. I think you probably already do snow removal, because I don't know how else you'd be able to handle that parcel, but with those conditions, it's something I would support.
Okay, Jack?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I agree with my fellow colleagues. As long as the conditions are met with the shed being taken down and the trailer being removed and the snow removal taken care of, I would be in favor of this petition also. Thank you.
Okay, Donna, you all set? Okay. Okay, I myself don't have a problem with it. Like I said, this is unusual to get a lot in the Highlands with 12 parking spaces. It can probably fit anywhere up to 15 anyways. The building's there. We've got 5 units there now. It doesn't really seem to have a problem for parking. If there's a situation where it does occur, he does have room to add on, and the neighbors could reach out to the building department and try to do something to get 2 more parking spaces in there if it need be. But I don't think there would be a problem. But one of the conditions 2 of the conditions would have to be is for getting rid of that trailer and also the shed. Does anybody else have anything else they would want to add on?
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if we can use your expertise here as a builder. As far as a director butter made a comment. Now, the 3 heating condensers and AC condensers do make a lot of racket, and it is close to their residence. Is there any kind of
You can put some type of screening around there.
screening or noise barrier?
Just
for
the
them?
sound, that's a good idea, okay? Will that satisfy you? Whether shrubs or some type of fencing, just...
Shrubs there, you can
Okay,
plant trees.
and I think the shrubs will look a little nicer than a fence, so,
We're glad to.
you know, some arborvitaes or something like that where it'll cut down the noise, okay?
Can I just make a point?
Go ahead.
What about,
Why don't you step up right to the podium so everybody can hear you?
what about open space? What about landscaping? I mean, there's talk of cutting down the 1 or 2 trees that are on this property to allow for more parking. Parking isn't the only issue. What about aesthetics? They are cutting down every tree on that piece of property and the property next to it. Trees that have been there longer than these people have been there.
Well, is that what are you cutting
Is
down
that not a
trees? As
consideration?
far as I'm concerned, when I saw it today, I think they had enough parking where they didn't have to cut any trees down at all.
They're cutting down trees. If you would have looked up, they
I looked on the
last
right-hand
weekend-
side on one of the
On the
neighbors'
right-hand
lots.
side, there's a
That-
big oak tree, and
It seemed like-
most of its branches are gone.
It
They're
seemed like
cutting-
it was in somebody else's lot, though.
It's
Somebody
on
else's-
their property, and they're cutting down all the trees on the lot next to it.
Okay. Yes.
The owner next door asked us.
Why don't you step up right to the podium and to the mic?
They're leaning towards his house. They're large trees.
Okay.
And he felt they were a danger.
Yeah.
And he requested that he asked if he was able to cut those down.
Oh, so the owner asked you to cut them down, of the
Yeah,
next door neighbor?
he cut them. We had nothing to do with, because they were leaning towards his house,
Okay.
and he was worried.
All right. Does that answer your question?
Well, it's just, it seems to be the only issues here are parking and snow removal. And, you know, I disagree. And I also disagree about the looks of the house. The house is on the same footprint, I guess, but I'm telling you, every single available porch and everything else was enclosed. And I don't understand how the 6th unit was built without a permit and without, you know, I think you need a permit and then you need to get variances to get a permit. And it seems like the way to do it is you go ahead and you build it without permits, and then you get variances, and
Well, that's
how
not our
it's done.
department. That's the building department. We don't know anything about that. We have a petition in front of us going from a 5-family to a 6-family. He has adequate parking, and that's what we're voting on tonight. I mean,
So it's just parking? that
pretty,
you
that's it,
consider.
yes, yeah, that's it.
That's unfortunate, I
Okay,
think.
thank you. I need a motion, please.
Motion to approve with conditions?
What's the second?
I second the motion.
Okay, Jack seconds. Now, the conditions are going to be to remove the trailer, the shed, and also some type of screening for the air conditioners. Is that correct?
Fair enough.
Okay, all right. Call the roll, please.
Ms. McMahon? Approve with conditions. Mr. Flynn?
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Noon?
Approve with condition.
Approved with conditions. It's been approved with 5 votes, so we need to sign some paperwork. I want to thank the neighbors for coming out. Thank you. All right, Mr. Elias, it looks like you're up. Okay, we have the estate of Irene Poria, 27 St. Paul Street, divide an existing lot and vary total square footage required for a second lot. Good.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. George Ciolides Jr., 133 Market Street, Lowell. I'll start by saying it's always nice to spend a couple of hours with you folks, and it looks like I'll be spending a few more hours with you in the future. So, in any event, I'm here tonight. I have a few pass-outs if I can, Mr. Chairman. constructed as to what we're talking about. I'm not quite sure where I should put these up so everyone can get a view, but I guess I'll try over here, Mr. Chairman. Okay. How about if I take one of these chairs here? First one I want to talk about is the one I think on top of. Now we're going. Is that okay? Thank you very much. The first one I want to show you is not that one. It's the one I left here. This is an overview of the neighborhood around St. Paul Street. I'm here this evening in behalf of the Poirier family, and Carrie Poirier is this young lady who's seated right in the front there with me, who, by the way, currently lives in Newburyport and is a member of her zoning board of appeals. She was giving me comparisons between hers and yours, and that's another story for another day. What I want to show you about this plan is that our property, which is the green property in the middle of this entire plan, is probably the largest property in this entire area. In fact, I'm fairly certain that it is. It's been in the Poirier family for decades. They have always had, and I think the bottom sheet shows you, ownership to this property, and there were, at one time, 2 separate lots that they were involved with the property. As years went by, Mr. Poirier was even nice enough to give away portions of the back of his property to some of his neighbors to try to assist them with their property. As you can see how the lot configuration changes to the back and to the rear there. As a result of that, and totally unexpected on their part, what happened with some of the recent changes is what they once had was 2 separate lots of land that the family could rely on, all of a sudden disappeared. And they're now about 1,300 square feet short of having 2 separate lots of land. 1,200 or 1,300 square feet, I think probably encompasses, I'm not even sure this whole room is 1,200 or 1,300 square feet if you took that particular area, but that's probably how much short of having the additional size necessary under the current zoning regulations to build another house there. So that's the main reason, obviously, why we're here tonight. What I'd also like to point out in the particular plan that's there is that with our proposal this evening, when in fact the property is divided the way we have anticipated that it might be divided fairly, every single yellow piece of property on this particular map, which is a portion of the assessor's map of the city of Lowell, would still be smaller than the smallest of the 2 lots that we are going to subdivide this to, hopefully. Every single one of the yellow lots that you see there would still be smaller. On the other version, you'll see an even better visual of what we're dealing with here, because what we're dealing with is, if you look in their immediate neighborhood, which is the other small map you have there, we have a case where every single one of the yellow houses on this map, which is in their immediate neighborhood, would also, the lots would be smaller than the second of the two lots, the smaller of the two lots that we are asking to be granted the right to subdivide to. So, what's significant about that? I think what's really significant about that, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, is that we are trying to really, in fairness, give the Porias what they always had by making this plan. And when I say in fairness, the other thing I want to point out about this plan that's before you tonight is that when you look at the two lots that we are proposing here, it would otherwise meet every single dimension were there another house to be built next to the Poria house. The Poria house is the house on the left-hand side, which is numbered 27. Now, if you go back and look at the bigger map again, I think there's another thing that's very significant about this situation. I don't believe there is a single other lot, and there are at least 200 other lots on that plan you see in their immediate neighborhood that have 168.6 square feet of frontage. So what I'm trying to say there is that even dividing it the way it is there, we leave ourselves with one lot, which is 75 feet, which is the required frontage for a house lot, and the other lot with 93.6 feet. If you took any other lot in this neighborhood and tried to subdivide it, you couldn't do it because you wouldn't meet the frontage requirements. So what we are asking here is really only for one little fix, and that is to make this a proper lot even though it doesn't have every inch of square footage. Now, one other, I think, very important element in all of this is, if you look at this neighborhood and you look at the houses there, one of the most important things about our zoning board and our code, and as you well know, our code was changed to try to really get into preserving the integrity and character of a neighborhood. If you built a house on the lot next door there, it couldn't be any bigger than any of the other lots that were there. But just imagine, for example, and this is an odd way for me to put this to you, but just imagine if somebody bought this lot and tore down the Poria house and built a McMansion that in essence would be 100 times, I'm exaggerating, bigger than anything else in the neighborhood there. So indirectly, sort of in reverse, what you would be doing by approving this is making sure that the character of the neighborhood does in fact stay intact, and that the integrity and character of the neighborhood are intact, because no one could build a house bigger than what the requirements are for that particular lot. And therefore, there would be no extraordinary house way out of character there. I think that kind of sums up, Mr. Chairman, what I wanted to say to the board, and I'll be glad to answer any. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I gave you a list of people who are in support of this. I think 4 out of the 5 on your list are seated right over there. They were nice enough to come down tonight, so you should know that. The 5th one member couldn't make it. So I am here. Mr. Lania drew the plans for Ms. Poria, and she isn't Ms. Poria, but that's our. We're here to answer any questions you might have, and we would ask you to preserve this neighborhood by allowing us to make these 2 lots, one of them an extra building lot.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anybody like to speak in favor for this petition? In favor? Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, Tim Fallon, my wife Kathy, we're abutters. On the map, we're number 16 on Hamden Street, but number 24, directly behind.
Okay,
And
yep.
Ms. Poria came over, showed us the plans. We have no problem. New house in the neighborhood, just enhance the neighborhood. That's how we feel. Just, help out right right in back of us, it's right behind us. So that's it. Okay?
Okay, great, thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Mike Dillon. This is my wife Kathy. We live at lot number 34. We're also direct abutters to this property, and we are also here tonight in favor of what you have before you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, anybody else like to speak in favor? Anybody here like to speak in opposition? Opposition? Yes, sir.
My name's Joe Tedesco. I'm speaking for my father-in-law, who is a direct abutter.
What's his name, sir?
Donald Perry.
He lives where now?
He lives, if you were to look at the current Poirier home, if you were to look to the left, that would be his home. He's a direct abutter.
Okay, yes, okay, to the left, all right.
He had a couple of concerns. One of them being, I'm not sure how land surveys go. We could not find any stakes or anything like that that were placed in during what I assume was a complete survey of the property.
Have you seen a plot plan at all?
No, I have not.
Why don't you step up to the table over here and I'll show you what they propose to do.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, that's great, thank you.
Copy of the
Yep. Why don't you explain to them where the lot line is? Can you show them the lot line?
Yes, definitely, Mr. Chairman. For the record, Kenneth Lania, K&M Land Consultants. As you know, the Poirier House 27 sits as it is. You can see the existing garage located here. Typically, when surveys are completed, the lot doesn't get staked out. It gets shown on a plan area. If you did notice out on the property, though, the proposed lot line was staked out. There was a stake in the front, painted location inside the driveway on the concrete pavement, as well as a stake in the rear, showing that proposed location. I believe this is your lot here, and there's an existing fence, I think, running along the line.
Well, Mr. Perry was a little bit concerned about where the stakes were going to end up.
And
Okay,
we can provide.
Excuse me, was there a stake in the front? I thought I saw one.
There was, Mr.
Yeah,
Chairman.
okay.
We did stake out the proposed
Right.
line.
As you can see, the existing house on the plot plan, can you see
Yes.
that? Okay,
Yes,
to the
I
right,
can.
to the right of that, that's where the lot line's going. Then it's going down straight, 3/4 away, then it's gonna take a left towards the back of the lot line.
Based on this plan, do you have a number for the lot directly to the left? It's not shown on the plan that I have.
The number for the lot, which one, Mr.
The,
Fallon's or Mr.
Mr.
Dillon's?
Perry's lot.
Mr. Perry's? Hold on one second. I believe he's number 30, is it 30?
37, Mr. Chairman.
37, right, 37. He's got a big, he has a big
I have
lot
that.
there, right.
Thank you.
Okay.
In contrast to the other abutters, Mr. Perry's a little bit concerned about how that's going to go in there. It is 1,000 square feet, or a little bit over, 1,200, 1,300 square feet. That's basically 10% of the lot. Lot requirements in Lowell are relatively narrow, and to actually cut that further just seems to cut into the neighborhood. Mr. Perry's lot, by the way, is 17,000 square feet with a little bit of change. So as far as, you know, this not being a recurring theme in the Highlands, which is a very highly valued area of Lowell, I think that could actually take place. He has no intentions of doing that or anything, but who knows what's going to occur down the road. You know, I guess his main concern is, you know, it was good to hear that the home is going to be the same size as the currently existing home. But if you take a look through the Highlands, it's a very established neighborhood. The values are very high. Lowell has made a tremendous recovery in the past years regarding values, and I think values have to do with what blends in with the neighborhood, what looks right. They are pretty close as far as the 10,000 square foot requirement on it goes. Some of the other lots, as I look across the map, in that particular block are a little small. If you were to look, you know, throughout the Highlands, you would probably find a lot, in the upper Highlands anyways, you would probably find a lot of other lots that could probably have this variance performed and add property on. I mean, this is really, obviously, as most things are, a matter of money. That, you know, the house is in somewhat in disrepair at this time, and obviously adding the second lot kind of offsets whatever repairs would have had to been done to the home to bring it up and keep it current with the values of the other houses and homes that abut it. So Mr. Perry's concerns is that it's going to, lower the property value somewhat in that area because you have a little bit smaller lot, and he is, right next to the property. And, you just hate to see a neighborhood where values have actually remained very high, where, the board in the past has protected the neighborhood and development very well. And, I think that benefits everybody in addition to the tax revenue for the city of Lowell. It benefits people that are selling their homes and people that are moving. It keeps the neighborhood, in good shape. By allowing it and continuing this to happen, you're going to see other people that are going to be applying for lots that don't conform. And it might not be 1,200, it may be 1,300, 1,500. And you may see the people with larger lots in that area, and you may set a precedent for development and for congestion in an area that is really kind of a jewel to Lowell, that has held its value, and that has property owners that care about it, and property owners that, maintain it and care about their neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I do have a lot of questions for either the engineer or Mr. Elides. It's a tough situation here. We have Mr. Dillon, Mr. Fallon, and number, 14 Hampden Street, and also 15 St. Paul, all in favor of this petition, which their subdivision is going to really affect them more so than Mr. Perry. Mr. Perry, there's a house on that side anyways. It's not going to affect Mr. Perry's lot somewhat more so than these individuals over here. But I do have some questions for Mr. Elides. I mean, naturally, you're going to try to subdivide this and sell this lot, is that correct?
Yes.
Any proposed dwelling you plan on putting on this? I'd like to see what size house, where it's going to sit on the lot.
I don't...
Just to protect the neighbors.
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet, huh?
No. Certainly, it's going to have to meet all of the dimensional requirements, or it would come up here.
There's no question about it.
Right.
I just don't want somebody to go in there and put some,
McMahon.
like you said, a mansion in there on a small lot, and then we have a problem. I want something that's going to fit with the area, and I think we can do that. I mean, to sell the lot, if it's going to be a 24 by 36, or whatever the case may be, maybe we can come up with that and situate on the lot. And I don't think you have a problem selling the lot with a certain size house. You can design it pretty much any way you want, but just on these dimensions. You know what I mean? Just to protect the neighbors, that's all,
Right.
But I'm going to open up to the board members and see what they have to say.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. For starters, I do reside in the Highlands, and it's the first time I've ever been down that street. It's a nice street. It's a nice rural neighborhood. Not much traffic other than the people who reside there, I'm sure. And we all like to see it kept that way, I'm sure. And for starters, applaud the neighbors for coming out. They do a great job maintaining their home. And for the vision they have. They see a home here that's running, it's slightly dilapidated right now, to say the least. It's in a state, and rather than a dilapidated home with a shed with a bunch of overgrowth and leaves, and now you're going to see two small, single-family homes, owner-occupied, well-maintained, that's going to help their value and help the city and help everybody. I think it's a win-win, and I'm sure the Emporio Estate will do a nice job getting it there. And I would like to see the current house upgraded as well, other than just a new house being put up. I would like to see, and what's really key to my decision here tonight is the frontage as well. I mean, there's adequate frontage on the existing home, and the frontage on the potential home is adequate. And that is key, because it's a nice, quiet-setting neighborhood, and I want to keep it that way. So, as it stands right now, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make it a condition that the current house get upgraded as well, and with the neighborhood behind it, I'm all for the project. Thank you very much.
Okay, go ahead, Jack.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I feel that the size of this lot will fit in there with no problem at all, and especially where the neighbors in the back do not have a problem with it. I would be in favor of this proposal. Thank you.
Mr. Gary?
Thank you. Mr. Lights, I appreciate the graphics. It definitely makes it a lot simpler for me to understand when I look at it, and you can see that all these houses are of lesser total lot size. In fact, most of them are centered right around that house. So as far as an impact on the neighborhood, I think it would, I agree with you, would be a lesser impact than if the current house that could easily be taken down and built as one lot, you may have a house that, although it could be a very nice, valuable house, it may not fit in with the current kind of a quaint neighborhood that they enjoy over there right now. So based on the plans presented and the fact that the direct abutters support this project, and the fact that nobody else, there has been one direct abutter that came to oppose it, there's on the other side, and I respect their opposition to it, but everybody here, this is a very tight neighborhood, and there's no other opposition to it other than that, and I agree that the lot sizes make sense for this neighborhood, and it's consistent with the neighborhood, and I'd probably vote to approve it.
Commissioner?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As always, Attorney Elias done his homework and done a great job as far as the graphic in terms of simplify it, make it clearly for some of us to understand, really to visualize, the whole neighborhood. And certainly, I do agree with my fellow board members that this subdivision has, if anything, will be less impact to the neighborhood, especially when you have the neighbors coming out here tonight in support of this, and and I hope that you continue to have dialogue with them as to what you're gonna put in those subdivided lots, so that certainly the house will be conformed to the neighbors. So I'm in favor of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, do we have a certain size home that you want to, you're thinking about, or maybe we can make a condition that we approve the plan that you propose for a house? Because like I said, I don't want to, I don't think it's a bad plan. I just don't want to say, yeah, we're gonna subdivide the lot, and now the neighbor's gonna be burdened with any type of house that's gonna be really affect them. I mean, let's go with some size house. I mean,
we certainly would
that fits
agree.
in the neighborhood, and it won't be a problem.
We certainly would agree to a condition that said that
Okay.
it would have to meet every single one of the setback, front yard, total space requirements. I think that if you look at the situation there, the way it's set, I can't imagine, Mr. Chairman, that you could get something in there that wouldn't be very reasonable based on the size that's there. If you have 75 feet, as you well know, you can easily put a total of 25-foot setbacks house on there, and I wouldn't imagine someone would even need to do that. That would be an awful big house at that situation. Perhaps, and I haven't talked to my client about this, but I mean, I guess we might almost consider something that limited it to something no larger than 3,000 square feet of house space or something like that. I hate to do that, to tie somebody's
That's a
hands
big
up.
home. 3,000 square feet's a big house.
Well, not
That's
you build bigger ones than that,
Oh,
Mr.
yeah, I
Chairman.
know, but, well, you
No,
don't
it
have to
is.
make this decision now. We can put a contingent on approval of the plan that you propose to put on that lot. I mean, if you have a lot and you can put an average size home on it, and it's situated in the right location, I'm sure that's not going to be a breaking point to
No, that would
break the
be-
deal. You know what I mean? So,
That would be fine, Mr. Chairman.
yeah, I'm just trying to protect the neighbors in the back, so there's and on the side, so they don't have any problems. Okay?
Yes.
Right, I think the concern could be if it were approved and then the Poiriers went out and put it to market and sold it, and then somebody said, wow, I'm gonna build a huge house right here, then we just told the neighbors we weren't gonna do that, and then that just happened, so I think that, I mean, I understand everybody has a
Okay.
legal right to do with what they...
Okay, good point. That
Well,
is
yeah,
a good
and-
thought.
And Mr. Fallon has no
Do you
sunlight in his backyard, and, Mr. Dillon.
May
so
I
we
just talk to my
We just
client?
want to protect him, that's all.
May I just run that
Absolutely,
by
sure,
my client?
absolutely.
This gentleman currently has the property under agreement contingent on that, and he...
Okay, do you want to state your name and address?
I'm Peter Bradley, 50 Moore Street, Chelmsford.
Okay.
It's our first time seeing the subdivided lot tonight, so we don't have a plan. But
Okay.
we'd be willing to go with something like a condition no more than 2,500 square feet, 2.5 stories. You know, so I don't have a plan. If I had plans, I could say, okay, we'll build this house. I don't have that in front of me, but
Well, you've been looking at this lot for a little while. What do you propose to put over here? Is it Peter? Is that correct?
what I think we're thinking of doing right now is it's around a 2,200 square foot home.
Okay.
And would really be, when you take the 75 feet and reduce it by the 25,
Right.
the maximum house you're going to get is 50 feet.
Okay.
So I don't see it getting to be a huge house anyways.
What style are you thinking of, a cape or a gambrel, a colonial?
A colonial,
ranch?
a colonial, maybe a couple of bump outs in the front to dress it out, but
Garage in the front?
we were thinking maybe garage under, we're not really sure. Like I said, it's our first time seeing the shape of the lot
Okay.
tonight.
Yeah.
So that's why we're a little unprepared to say this is the house we're building, because we wanted to see the shape.
Okay, well, this is what we can do. We can give you a couple of weeks to drop a plan that you propose to put over there, and we can put a contingent on this board approving that plan. And if we don't like the plan, and we think it's gonna affect the neighbors, we'll just say it's not gonna fly. But if it's something we think it's gonna be suitable for the neighborhood and satisfy all the neighbors, then it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
Are you planning on living there, sir, or are you gonna sell it? Are you gonna build it and sell it, or are you gonna live there yourself?
It would be probably build to sell. We're not 100% sure. It's,
And Mr. Chairman, if I may add that the potential home to go there you can communicate with the Dillon family, who's a direct abutter behind. You know, he'd probably like to see what it's going to look like, and that would save them.
Sure.
Maybe communicate with the neighbors, let them know. And,
sure,
that'd
we'll
be
come
great.
up with a plan.
Okay.
Like I said, it was our first time seeing the lot tonight, so I don't have any plan to show tonight.
It's gonna give you a couple of weeks to do something anyways. There's an appeal period of 21 days or so you can't do anything right away if we approve this, so you'll have a little time to figure out what you're gonna do. And I'm sure you'll have a good idea what you propose of doing anyway, so.
Okay.
That's fine.
We in agreement?
That's
Okay.
fine.
Okay, I need a motion.
Motion to approve? Make with conditions.
Okay. And the conditions are for, conditions...
Within 2 weeks, the next meeting, we get a proposed plan for the dwelling, the proposed dwelling on the site for board review.
Okay, that sounds good. Need a second?
And have a neighbor.
second it.
Neighbor review too.
What's that?
Neighbor review too. Board and neighbor.
Well, the neighbors are coming to the meeting, right? So they...
It's up to them if they want to. Or they can reach out to the board previously.
We'll certainly show them
They
the
can call the
plan
office, and
in
if they have any
advance.
questions, they can let us know.
Okay.
Okay, you won't have to come.
Second.
Okay. Call the roll, please.
Approve with condition.
Approve with conditions.
Approve with conditions.
Approve with conditions?
Approve with conditions. You've been approved with 5 votes. We need to sign some paperwork. Okay, good luck, and
Merrimack or Fort Hill? Where the hell is it? All right, give me a date. Merrimack. I can turn the bikes. Wow. Huh?
GB Homes LLC, 85 Fort Hill Avenue, to allow driveways and insufficient width and access to parking in rear.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is John Kokonis, 6 Cedar Lane, Tingsboro, Mass. I purchased 85 Fort Hill Ave with a 4-family that burned to the ground. And I'd like to reuse the existing undersized driveways to access parking in the back of the lot. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, all set? You
Yep.
Okay. Is there anybody here that'd like to speak in favor for this petition, in favor? Anybody like to speak in opposition? Opposition. Okay, hearing none, we'll open to the board. Geez, I was out there today. Geez, I know you're doing a good job on the building, but boy, these driveways are pretty tough.
They are.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Oh. One thing I'm really afraid of, on the right, on this, if you're facing the building on the left-hand side, you got some steps coming down into the driveway, and if you get some children coming out those steps and you got a car coming in and out, it's just gonna be, it's very, very dangerous. And plus the width of these driveways, it's gonna be tough to get a vehicle by there. Probably be taking out mirrors on the vehicles. It's just, like I said, you're doing a good job in the building. I went inside it today. It's gonna be tough, difficult.
Well, what the engineering department was proposing was to make one way in, one way out.
Yeah, I see that on the plan, which does help out, but, I mean, like I said, the safety of the children or somebody coming out of that, let's say if you got a young child running out down the steps and you got a car coming in the driveway or coming out of the driveway, what's gonna prevent that accident from happening? You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Yeah, that's what scares me. But I'm sure the board members have some questions. I'm going to open up to the board and see what they have to say. Donna, do you have any questions right now? Jack? All set? Good, Steve.
Sir, my question is, I went by there and I have just like a mid-sized SUV, and I tried to face it towards the driveway because at first I thought it was basically, a very simple request, a no-brainer, and it may be if I get some questions answered, but
sure.
I didn't see how my car, and I have a relatively narrow vehicle, how it would fit in there. So I'm just saying, for your purposes and for liability purposes, I saw the fence there, so would the fence come down, or does that stay there, or how do you?
Well, the fence is on the right-hand side of the property?
Yes.
Okay.
Which I assume you don't even own, right? Is that your fence, or is that the neighbor's fence?
It's the property line fence.
Okay. Who owns the fence? Is it?
I don't know who owns that fence.
It was an old fence, and that's why I wasn't sure if it would come down or.
Well, I'm hoping to make a deal with the neighbor to repave his driveway, take that fence right out of there, and just put a berm in between.
Yeah, I don't see any other way how it could be done, because I don't know what. I mean, like I said, I have a relatively small vehicle, and I don't know if that would fit with the mirrors. And the other thing, if there's kids playing on the other, say if you didn't take the fence down, I guess my other concern is, if you have a larger SUV or a larger vehicle with mirrors, and, people, you won't have control over how people drive back there. So say they're driving back and there's kids playing in the yard right next to it, and say the fence still is there, and the guy doesn't know that they're there, and they're running by, and, something really bad happens. I just don't see there's enough space to have any kind of buffer.
Well, the width of that driveway is approximately the width of a regular garage space, maybe in your own home.
Yeah, and it may be. I couldn't tell, but I pulled my vehicle up to it, and if I had to drive from where I was to the back of the car, I think I'd be, a white knuckle drive for that, however many feet it is back there. But
okay. Well, it is a driveway. It's not a right of way, so you'd be doing 5 or 10 miles an hour, not 30 miles an hour.
Right, no, I know, and believe me, when I initially saw the petition, I didn't think there'd be any problem until I saw it, and then those are the questions I have, and if
I understand.
I don't know that, it still may work, but it didn't look like it worked for my vehicle, so I don't know if any of the other members have any concerns. Those are mine.
Well, this building was burnt, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, was it completely burnt right to the ground?
Right to the ground.
Okay, and you put a new foundation and a new building?
Yes.
Okay, and actually, you're putting a building, a smaller building that was there?
Correct.
As I can see the outline of the new building. This one is actually smaller. And I'm sure if you knew this was going to happen, you wouldn't put it up. But we're in a tough situation here, I'm just thinking out loud, maybe we can put some speed bumps before the steps where they do have to slow down. Maybe the other board members might have some other ideas, I don't know, but...
Well, my original proposal, Mr. Chairman, was for one driveway to be 12 feet wide, and the engineering department would, through my engineer, Howe Engineering, proposed rather than have a 12-foot driveway, which would still be considered undersized driveway, not being 14 feet, they proposed the two, one way in, one way out, and have two 10s.
Who designed that?
How engineering?
Well, they didn't do a good job, I'll tell you.
I know, that's the end result is...
Yeah, they really didn't do you any justice.
I'd be more comfortable with a larger.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, hindsight's worth a fortune, they say.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to let the, go ahead, Vesna.
I do echo both of your concerns, Mr. Chairman, and my colleague, that is, the concern is that the driveway and, you know, the step, I'm also concerned about the children, and maybe, as you suggested, a speed bump or something to slow down the driver, you know, as he or she getting to those backpacking.
I think that'd be effective.
That seemed to be the only way to address it, because, you know, you never know, children.
I
Thank you,
understand.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Jack, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of concerns as well. It is very tight. And the other thing we might consider, I'm wondering at night, what kind of lighting for that area as well, particularly in the fall and in the winter months when it gets dark early and we have children out there, what kind of lighting is in that area? The other thing that I would think of is in the course of snow. Excuse me, I think we have to change the tape again. Thank you. Would be in winter, turning in there in the winter time. I think the initial suggestion by the chairman of speed bump, I think additional lighting might be something, and again, I guess we'll hear from other board members. But I'm equally perplexed at seeing it and how tight it was and the inherent problem you have. Thank you.
Okay.
How about trash? What are you going to do with your trash? Are you going to put it, is there going to be a dumpster here, or is there going to be a pickup out front?
Yeah, pickup out front.
Pickup out front? Okay, but Mr. Knox brought up a very good point. Lighting is very important, especially in the driveways and also the back lot.
We could have spotlights.
And snow removal. What's that?
We could put spotlights to light those areas.
Well, that's something we'd probably want to see some type of lighting plan that you're going to put on, especially on the driveways. I mean, right now it's getting dark at 4 o'clock, 4:30. I mean, the young kids are out and you get a car coming up and the young kid rushes out of the house, down the stairs, and it's at night, doesn't see the car coming, and all of a sudden we get an accident. So there would have to be some type of lighting on that driveway, and we'd really want to see some type of lighting plan. I just wish you came to us first. Maybe we can
Me too.
make this thing a little bit better for you.
Well, the way that it went, Mr. Chairman,
a
was
nicer layout.
I proposed it to the building department. They gave me a foundation plan. I put the foundation in. Then when I went back, they said you need ZBA approval for the driveways. Like, they didn't tell me that when I submitted my plans. I had all these plans, architectural plans from Davies, engineering site plans from Howe. They reviewed everything. They gave me the foundation permit. I put the foundation in. And then when I went back, they said, oh, we don't like the driveways now. It was after the fact. I mean, they should have told me. I would have been more than happy to move it at that time.
Okay, well, let's see if we can fix it. And I think what the board members come up with is, could possibly fix it, and probably will fix it. With the speed bumps, the lighting, the snow removal. What else? Did we come up with anything else? Jack, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, what about if, when you open up the door, if a red light goes on? Maybe that might help the people coming out of the building so they won't get hit by a car. In other words, when you open the door, have a red light come on.
Okay, like a
Along
beacon?
with a spotlight to light up the area.
Okay, I'm not quite, I hear what you're saying, but not...
Yeah, that's something like a beacon on a fire alarm. You know how if you get the fire alarm in the units, you're going to have them anyways.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think it's going to be a big expense to put something on the door itself. When it does open, this little beacon will go off, a red beacon. Plus, we'll do the speed bumps.
Okay, so we're coming out of the door.
Yep.
On the side of the building, this beacon's going to announce it to a driver that
Exactly
someone
right.
has opened up.
Right. That's a good idea, Jack.
Okay.
Good, good.
That works.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, for starters, I think the blame actually would lie with your engineer, sir, rather than the building
understand.
department. But that's another story. But certainly, Mr. Chairman, we need to, if at all possible, get these cars off the street. I mean, it's a two-unit. He's done a nice job with it, no doubt, but I think those, my colleagues brought up some good points. Speed bumps, additional lighting, and the red beacon light. And I think I'd be more comfortable with one entrance 12 feet rather than two 10s, if at all possible, but...
Unfortunately, at this point, Corey, I can't move the lot lines.
Now,
I'd
on the
love
left
to.
side, you have an agreement with your neighbor to take down the fence, and...
That's on the right side. I do not have that agreement yet. I'm going to propose that. to him.
I thought you just said you did, okay.
No. That's on the right side that we're talking about.
Oh, okay, on the right side you have an agreement, okay. That will help, I think that will help that situation.
Yeah.
And on the left side, if you can maybe offer the same, I know it's easy for me to say, it's sure, but if that could be taken down, that fence on that side, it'd give you the most slack on both sides for both units.
Yeah.
It's just an idea, but I want to work with you, I want to get these cars off the street, in all honesty, but...
Well, the left side, the fence is set back about 30 feet, so there's only about 10 feet of that fence left that impacts that building.
Okay, well, with these conditions, we can add some safety and along with the chairman's expertise, who's done many similar projects, I think we come to some resolution.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Gary and I were just talking. Okay, on the right side, I know on the left side you had two doors going out into the driveway. Is that the same? Is that going to be the same on the right side too?
Yes,
Okay, the door's not there now though, right?
they are.
Okay, I didn't see them.
The way that Paul Davies designed it was the door would open onto a platform, and
Okay.
the stairs would stay within the envelope of the building. So
Right.
you wouldn't be stepping down a stair into the driveway.
Right.
You know, the stair wouldn't be in the driveway. The stairs would be within the building.
It's not, I measured it, the stairs won't encroach into the driveway.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's going to be okay. All right, I guess everybody's on the same page. We want to try to help this fellow out. I need someone to make a motion with the list of conditions we have.
I make a motion to approve with conditions.
Okay, we're going to list them out.
And one of the conditions is going to have to be a acceptable, some sort of alarm or light beacon to notify anybody passing through the driveway that somebody could be coming down those stairs. You know, I think our concern is mostly for a child or something like that.
Along with the speed bumps. We're going to put speed bumps in there also.
Okay.
Okay?
One on each side.
Yes, exactly. So if you have so it'd be two on each driveway. Okay?
So in the direction of travel prior to the door.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Steve.
Right, there's speed bumps, and I think the issue with the fence, now, the plans, it looks like the fence section to be removed, so that looks like it's coming down, which means you probably own the fence. That's what we're looking at anyway, so I guess I have a question before I add a condition to that.
Okay, I thought I knew this plan inside and out, but let me...
Well, the part of the fence is on your property.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so,
Anything on my property is coming out.
okay.
Okay, so
We've already taken a couple
condition
trees.
condition that fence be removed and replaced with pavement.
Okay, you just have to show me which side are you on?
We're on the right side.
If it's easier to come up to the table, we can,
I'm sorry?
if it's easier to just come right up here, we can, right here. Fence section to be removed, meaning he's talking about this.
Right here. This is on your property. Fence section to be removed. It comes down and points right here.
So either it was already removed or it's going to be.
Yeah.
I'm assuming now this was taken out during the demolition prior to my
Okay,
ownership.
this one here might be, but how about this one here?
Yeah, I think that's what they were referring to, but if that's my fence, I'll take it out of there.
Or we can
Yeah,
put,
well,
the-
it's on your property to this, I'd say till it gets to about, right about here, then it starts encroaching on the other person's property, okay? So now it's on the other person's property.
Oh, that makes my job much easier.
well, I think that will give us just that few
Gentleman had asked me that same
Yeah,
question.
it gives you a few more,
I'll definitely
yeah,
inches.
agree
exactly.
to make that a condition, I'll take that right out of there.
To the extent it's your fence, we'll say.
Yeah. Then we have the snow removal, right? We have the.
Yeah,
provide-
that the snow is properly removed from the site.
Okay, so you want to make that a condition of the condo doc? That would be removed from the...
Yes, you're gonna have to, yeah, this is gonna be part of that, yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Chairman?
Which they're gonna have to anyway. I don't know how else they'd get the snow out. You can't get a plow back there.
Really no room, there's barrels, maybe a couple in there. These two are gonna have to put the barrels in the garage, but there's no place for snow pile up.
No, you can't, no, there's nothing.
No.
No,
No problem.
okay.
And then proper just safety lighting, which.
Thank you.
Okay.
So just to talk about that for a second, without disturbing the neighbors too much, are we talking about like double-headed spotlights attached to the building, lighting up these areas?
You know, it doesn't have to be a floodlight, like a wall pack light, some type of wall pack goes right on the building
Okay.
and shines down, and shines out somewhat, but not much.
Okay.
This is not actually a floodlight, and they were, and it-
Flush mounted?
yes, exactly, right, yeah. You'll see, you see them on some houses and some commercial buildings. They work really well. You're probably gonna want 2 on each side and maybe a couple in the back. Actually, the back will have enough where you can probably put a floodlight or spotlight back there.
Okay, so at the corners, let's say?
I wouldn't put it in the corners. I'd probably put it right here, and also on the same side. This way here, it's gonna light up the whole area. If
Well, you
put-
have to have them above the stairs leaving anyway, right?
Right.
Don't you have to have the, so maybe,
Within these
right, so maybe one down at this end and this end, and maybe if he does have them at the stairs, the 4 corners, I don't know about the front, but definitely.
Let me talk to my electrician about the most effective way to light that.
That's
You
good.
wanna see that on a plan?
Yeah, I'd like to, yeah.
Okay, can
Yeah.
we hand draw that? or-
Yes, absolutely. That's good. And the electrician will know better than we will.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Don't know what sizes and...
Okay, that's great. Okay, did anybody second? Go, Jack. You want a
I'll
second?
second the motion.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Mr. Nell?
Approve with condition.
Stay right
Approve
there.
with conditions. Mr. Flynn?
Approve with conditions.
Mr. Knox?
Approve with conditions.
Do you like the building now?
Okay. Approve with conditions.
Nice.
Yeah, the building looks good. You're doing a nice job on it. Okay, Oscar DeStefano, 169 Merrimack Street, special permit to allow residential commercial use in the artist overlay district with variance to off-site parking for same. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I'm here to give you my plan, and the plan was to move my sister Adrian and my mother and my father within that building of 169 Merrimack Street. This is our second biggest investment in the city. For those of you who do not know me, I'm Oscar from Cafe Paradiso. That was our first investment. And this will be the major investment of moving the entire family. My father and my mother both being respectively 84 and 85 years old, and that needs attendance of one of either myself and my sister, so bringing them both closer to the cafe was the option that we took. And I thank you if you approve this variance. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Is there anybody here like to speak in favor for this petition in favor? Mr. Lighties? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, George Cialides, Jr., 133 Market Street. I'm speaking as a private citizen tonight. These are wonderful people. I just want to say that quickly so everyone, these are the kinds of people we need in Lowell. They came to Lowell, they invested next door to my office and put that wonderful cafe in. They then went and bought the old Wood Abbott building. They're going to bring their mother and father here from the North End. Adriana's going to move here. Actually, they live in Stoneham now, but originally from the North End. And I think it's a great place for them. The loft up there is a beautiful area, and I think it's a wonderful idea. And in the interest of full disclosure, I do represent them. I represented them when they bought it, and Adriana promised to buy me a cup of cappuccino tonight if I speak in her favor. Thank you.
I was wondering why you were here. Okay. All right. Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor? Anybody else like to speak in favor? Anybody in opposition? Okay, hearing none, let's open it to the board. Good, Jack.
I could not agree with Council Ides more. My office, where I work downtown, is right on Merrimack Street. One of the nicest additions to the downtown area has been the cafe. Their contributions and efforts to the city, regardless of what it is, whether it's a festival or donations, are well known in the area. They're active participants in what is now known as the Renaissance of the downtown area, and I think it would be a welcome addition to have the entire family, and if it assists them in any way and makes them more comfortable, I'd be in favor of it, and thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Corey.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. I'm totally in agreement with my colleague, Mr. Knox. The cafe is truly a compliment to downtown Lowell. I mean that sincerely. It's a beautiful establishment. And I did happen to go up to the 5th floor of the building, and it seems adequate for what they want to do. And I have no problem with it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Steve, you all set?
Yeah, I just have a question. I guess the variances to allow the off-site parking, where is that going to be, the off-site parking?
On the Market Street parking lot, we got a permission from that.
Okay. And is that may not even apply to your mother and father, right? For that, are they going to...
I'm sorry?
Do your mother and father still drive?
No, they don't.
Right. 1 second. Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah, Steve, they have Chuck Connie, the parking director, giving them okay at the Market Street garage.
Jack, you all set? All set, yeah. Donna? Well, I think it's a win-win for the city to get you and your family here in Lowell, and you did a great job at the Paradiso. The place is beautiful. We've been there a number of times. Again, I think it's a win-win, so I wish you luck. I'm in favor for it, and I need a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
A second?
Second the motion.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Neal?
Approve.
Mr. Flanagan?
Approve.
McMahon? Approve. Mr. Vandian?
Approved.
Approve.
You've been approved with 5 votes. We need to sign some paperwork before you leave, and good luck.
I thank you all.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Good luck.
George is really getting the martini, not cappuccino.
Thank you all.
Yeah, good luck. Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
Good luck. Make a motion to adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
I need a motion to adjourn.
Second. Good night now.
Okay,
Good luck.
call the roll. All everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes yes.
Thank you. Good night.